Community is everything. We're proud to support ours. Through partnerships with fellow community leaders and organizations, we're helping our neighbors access essential resources and services so we can all thrive. Learn more at bofA.com/community.
Thank you, Claude. All right, good morning, everybody. All right, who's excited about the draft? All right, it's right around the corner, 100-some days away, and we got a lot of work ahead of us. Today we're going to talk, well, first I was actually supposed to do some of the introductions, so let me tell you a little bit about why we're up here. So I'm Alexis Wiley. I'm founder and CEO of Moment Strategies, which is a strategic communications and PR practice here in Detroit. And I am joined by Faye Nelson, former executive director, Michigan director of the Kellogg Foundation, and also a member of the Sports Commission. She's also leading the legacy investment work that we're doing as part of the draft. And also Claude Molinari, who is the president and CEO of the Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau, and he is chairing the draft, and I am also his co-chair. So we're putting a lot of work in right now, but we want to give you kind of an idea about what's happening behind the scenes and what we see as coming next. So I'll start with you, Claude. So you go around the country constantly going after events, big events, trying to get them to Detroit. And you get a lot of yeses, but when it comes to things like the draft, it hasn't been always been easy to land events like this. Tell us a little bit about what it took to get the draft to come to Detroit, and do you see a shifting attitude towards big events coming here?
You know, Alexis, that's a great question, and I think I'm going to answer it in reverse. The perception of our city is changing enormously. You know, when I go around the country now, and I was just actually in an event in California with the Professional Conference Managers Association, and so many people are like, I'm so interested in Detroit. I love your message. I love that feel. A lot of that is coming up positively. And really, to get the NFL draft, that was a total team effort. The city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, the Downtown Detroit Partnership, Blue Cross Blue Shield, General Motors, the Ford family. I mean, so many partners in this really made it happen. We couldn't have done it without an entire, village and community being involved.
Absolutely. And, many of the folks out here remember when Detroit hosted the Super Bowl, but the draft is, again, a really big event that's also quite different. Could you talk a little bit about what we can expect and even the impact?
Yeah, no doubt. I think what's interesting, the Super Bowl will have about 80,000 people come to it. This event, which is free and open to the public, will have hundreds of thousands of people. And when you think about it, there are 6 NFL cities within a 4-hour drive of Detroit. Last year in Kansas City, there was not one city, one NFL city within a 4-hour drive. So you're talking about, and they had 300,000 people. So the economic impact of this is going to be in the hundreds of millions.
So we're expecting that because of our proximity to so many other cities where we've got fans, Detroit is going to be packed. We'll have hundreds of thousands of people really coming into the footprint.
No doubt.
All right. And, as we think about events, we also have to think about not just everybody who's coming in, but what does it mean to people who live here, who have worked so hard to make Detroit a place that so many want to come to? I think, Faye, you've been on the Sports Commission really for years now and have dedicated your career to making sure that we're making an impact. Can you talk a little bit about the legacy that you think that this could leave and really importance of investments being spurred from events like this?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. So good morning, everyone. So this event will provide tremendous value, and we hear a lot about the whole concept of economic impact, which is super important, of course. But the question that has always been on our minds is, well, how will everyone benefit? How will folks in the neighborhood benefit? How will our babies, our children, our families, how will they benefit? And so thanks to the generosity of philanthropy, private sector, the public sector, the Detroit Sports Commission and Visit Detroit has been able to allocate $1 million to what we are calling a Living Legacy program. So what does that mean? Well, it's going to be launched by way of the NFL draft. When we say legacy, we really focus on the importance of sustainability. So there are two components to this program, one of which being education. Our focus is on literacy. We're joining the literacy movement in addressing the gap that currently exists in Detroit, in the Detroit region among our youth. And then also play, focusing on the importance of getting our children out to play, getting away from those handheld gadgets and getting out and playing. So legacy, education, literacy, we're partnering with DPSCD and an organization called Beyond Basics to focus on tutoring, intensive tutoring. Dixon Middle School, which is a feeder school leading up to Cody High School, is one of the schools that will be participating, and then the Detroit Lions Academy. Project Play, there'll be a series of events that are being planned, and it's being facilitated by the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan, the Ralph Wilson Foundation, and the Aspen Institute. So lots of great events, lots of activities, a lot of events leading up to draft week, and there'll be a distribution of grants during draft week to organizations that focus on youth sports. So the bottom line is it's being launched during NFL draft, but we, as the Sports Commission, will have a component of this community engagement efforts with all of our the events that we are attracting to Detroit, including, of course, the NCAA Men's Final Four.
That's great, and I think that there's been so much. It's been great to see so many different organizations playing a role. And really meeting every single week, discussing how we can make sure that there's a real impact made through the draft. But the other area that I think is really critical, and I know Visit Detroit and the rest of everyone else on the committee has been very focused on this, is how can we make sure that economic impact also impacts small Detroit businesses and really specifically Black and minority-owned businesses in the city. I think we've been really intentional about that aspect and been working very closely with the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance, ethnic chambers throughout the city, and then also with the DEGC to try, and the City of Detroit Civil Rights and Inclusion Division to make sure that we're really certifying businesses, and we're working with the NFL closely to try to make sure that we're driving an impact in that area as well, across all our collective spending, which is not just the NFL, but it's also the City of Detroit, it's DDP, it's Visit Detroit, it's everyone really making a shared commitment. Claude, for you, as you think about what the impact of this is going to be, what goes through your mind?
I think it's a great opportunity for us to have the entire world. You figure about 60 million people will be watching on TV, and they'll be able to see these incredible drone shots of hundreds of thousands of fans all over our beautiful city. I think that's going to really change the perception of us. And also, I think that part of what we're doing is having the getting youth involved. I mean, we're about to launch this weekend
pull your mic a little.
This weekend we're about to launch our On the Clock tour, and we're going to start that in Southwest Detroit, and it's going to be a great event where we're going to get involved with the students. And this is one of 13 stops within the city of Detroit. We're also going to be going to Oakland and Wayne and Macomb County to have activations, and so I think it's going to be great for for people all throughout the region to get an involvement in this.
All right, and one question that I don't know about either of you, but I know my phone's been blowing up with people saying, how can I get into the draft? How can I be part of this? What are you telling people?
They go to visitdetroit.com/NFL draft, and you can sign up and be right in. It's a free event for everyone. So
the free is the most important part. So everybody can get in free. The other question I get is like, Faye, what
I was just going to say, in addition to being able to find out more information about the draft, there'll be volunteer opportunities, and there are also paid opportunities as well. And so that information in terms of how you can sign up, how you can get more information, will be available on the visitdetroit.com.
I think that's really great. So if everyone, if you take note of that, you'll also get information about other business opportunities, the resource guide that we're coming up with. So it's really something to try to follow what's happening over this next 107 days until the draft.
Who's counting?
Right.
I mean, we're not worried about that at all.
Exactly. And then also, it's a free event, but a lot of people have asked about seats and all sorts of stuff. There aren't really seats available, right?
No, so the event is a big festival. So the idea is that you go over to like Hart Plaza where there'll be punt, pass, kick. It's almost like an NFL combine and a fantasy camp for kids of all ages, including adults. And then you come up Woodward Avenue, and then there'll be the draft itself. So there's going to be it'd be more along the lines of like a festival where you're going to go from place to place and have great fun and interactive activities.
But it's not going to be just downtown. We're working in partnership with Visit Detroit in order to plan events throughout the city with focus on the different districts that exist within the city. There'll be events that are being planned in partnership with Visit Detroit at the various recreational centers. And so the goal is inclusivity. The goal is that at the end of the day, it's not just in one footprint, although it's going to be total fun, but to be able to expand and spread and involve and engage all of our residents in this fantastic event. It's just going to be beyond amazing.
So I think as we get closer to closing, for both of you, this is a major, this event, the draft, could be a game changer when you think about the caliber of events that we have the opportunity to host in Detroit. What do you see moving forward, and what do you think we need to do collectively to really move this forward and position ourselves for those huge, major, national, international kinds of events?
Well, I would say that the biggest thing is you're going to have funding. I mean, the NFL is spending 10 times what we're raising on this event, but there's still a big lift for us. We had to raise $10 million for this event, and we can only go to the philanthropic well so often. So I think that large special event legislation that is annually put in the budget so that we can continue to bring major events to this region, because again, the NCAA, the Big Ten, there's all kinds of events out there that want to come here, but we can't allow the inability to fund them to prevent us from hosting them.
So when we hear that, and Claude's statements, just think about it, the value add, the value proposition. So it's more than economic impact. Think about the theme of this conference being growing the population here in Michigan, in our region, being able to showcase all of our wonderful assets, showcase the fabulous cultural diversity, people, food. Think about our riverfront, our parks. And so being able to do all the great work that Claude is leading in order to be successful, think about the value add. Being able to tell our story of the greatness of our city of Detroit. So it's a big deal. We're on a roll. I mean, between Michigan, the Lions, and now the draft. I mean, who can stop us? So it's going to be fabulous.
All right. And we can't think, we should definitely mention the City of Detroit, Mayor Duggan and his leadership around this, Detroit City Council, and really everyone who lives in Detroit for helping to make this happen. Again, we can't wait to see you at the draft, and look forward to a lot of fun downtown and beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Community is everything. We're proud to support ours. Through partnerships with fellow community leaders and organizations, we're helping our neighbors access essential resources and services so we can all thrive. Learn more at bofa.com/community.